Have a guess where I'm going? Yep, probably my most feared crit ever. We're going to the teardrop. We're making our way to Hawthorn Cycling Club for stage 3 of the 7 crits in 7 days challenge. Now, it actually feels like it should be like a stage 4 or a stage 5 because I'm so cooked already. It's not a good signs, but we're still doing it. We're still trucking along, and I just can't wait to see the guys up there and get my legs absolutely ripped off, completely destroyed. We've got a bunch of guys racing and girls racing in the B grade as we speak. Be really keen to see the results there. Brooker and I are racing in A grade. It's going to be miserable, but we love it. We love the pain. Let's get into it.
A grade, any questions?
Yes.
Handstand handlebars when you cross the finish line. Thank you. Away you go.
Oh, we're off. Stage 3. Let's go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. Now, hopefully this is no news to you, but this is stage 3 of the 7 crits in 7 days challenge, where we race for 7 crits in 7 days. It is pretty self-explanatory. If you haven't figured it out by now, well, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to help you. But stage 1 took place down at Mornington Cycling Club down in Dramana. We then ventured over to Metech to race with Eastern Cycling Club. And now we're here. We're at Hawthorn. We're at the Teardrop. So, yep, we've still got a few more races to go, but the legs are definitely starting to complain. And knowing full well that we still have 4 more races to go after this one. So do please make sure you hit that subscribe button, because it does help the channel. And if you want to be kept in the loop with how the rest of the series take place, well, probably the best way to do it. Now, it was an absolutely stunning night out at Hawthorn, and I needed to make sure I had proper sun protection. So I lathered up some Sun Motion 50 plus sunscreen. You've probably seen this one floating around the socials, but it is run by the famous Grace Brown, Olympic champion and World TT champion, an all-round legend. It's great sunscreen. It protects you. It's non-greasy, super nice to wear, and it looks after your skin. I love it. I wear it all the time in summer, and it served me very well. So check them out on the socials. I'll drop a link below for you to reach out to Grace and order some sunscreen. It's good stuff. But back to the race, we've got Logan taking the perfect line through that corner, snipping the apex on the way through as we chase Marko up to 700 watts up this berg. I no doubt hit 1,100% as we were sending it up here. It's always hard. It's always fast right at the start of the race. And still 25 kilometers remaining. We've basically just started. And already in the rear cam, there are gaps starting to form. We know we're in for a long night out if that's happening already very early. So my tactics coming into this race was to play it smart, which I've spoken about before on the channel. And if you look back into the archives of a Fresh Crits episode with Bento, he talks about basically tail gunning, sitting at the back of a peloton, waiting for a major split or an attack to take place. And that's the moment where you move up in the bunch and regain a position. Now, keeping in mind, we're 3 crits in of a 7 crits in 7 days series, so I definitely don't want to be burning my matches early here with launching silly attacks up the road when there's definitely no need for it. So when I say I'm racing smart, I'm basically sitting at the back of the bunch and refusing to let my nose hit the wind, basically pissing off all the riders in the peloton. But sometimes you got to do it in order to stay fresh, and that's what we're going to do today. But what we might do is skip forward to a time where the man in front of me, Marko O'Brien, decides to not be fresh and send an almighty attack up the road that completely splits the race apart. Let's head there now. So we've only been racing for about 5 minutes where Marko decides this pace is not nearly fast enough, senses weakness within the bunch, and launches searing attack on the right-hand side. Now, that's quickly followed by Josh Brooker, and I'm thinking in my head, mate, go for it. Go out there. That's fine. 5 minutes into this race, and you're going to try to stick onto Marko's wheel. It's a bold move, Cotton, and it's only followed by Jude Dodd, who also's blood has rushed straight to his head, thinking he's going to be able to hold the wheel for the next 30 minutes. We've got a fully fledged peloton sitting in the bunch, waiting to mow them down, but I didn't realize that yeah, Jude Dodd's gone up the road. Half the field is Nostramo riders, and Jude Dodd is in Nostramo. So this could be one of the most dangerous moves that I've missed out on. And I've made a huge critical error thinking the rest of the group's going to ride him back when half of the group is Nostramo. Well, let's take a deep breath and really assess this situation. We've also got a hell of a lot of horsepower in this one, and I've forgotten about Duda as Daniel Braunstein's launch another attack to get across to this dangerous move, followed very quickly, but I think that might have been a surging Nick White. Please correct me in the comments. There's still plenty of horsepower in this race to bring it back, but I don't want to let those types of riders that have just gone up there get away, because that's going to be the danger. If that group of 3 turns into a group of 5, which turns into a group of 7, that's when there's panic stations need to be around. So I step up. I'm like, okay, I can't let this pace back off. I'm going to turn over the legs, ramp the speed up, 46 kilometers an hour, and hope to drive some motivation back into the bunch to keep the pace nice and high. And I know you're all probably thinking, but a second ago you were saying that you were just going to sit at the back and do nothing. Well, you're right, but you got to pick your moments in where you should be working, and don't just be reckless and sending attacks off the front. If you want the pace to continue being high, then you got to do the effort to motivate the rest of the group to continue that pace. So occasionally you'll see me just roll to the front, push the pedals a little bit, keep the pace nice and high. It's essentially maybe not burning a match, maybe half a match. But all I'm looking to do is keep the group motivated to keep rolling through. Because if I just got to the front and stopped, everyone else is going to stop, or worse, they'll attack. So it's just about keeping the peloton organism continuing moving forward. Anyway, talking about moving forward, we got off track there. There's been a little move go off the front where somehow I've gotten involved in it. Now, there are splits everywhere in the rear cam. There's probably already a 3-second gap, and I haven't been in the draft for 10 or so seconds. I finally got there as this guy from TKM swings off. Now, what does Nostramo do here? Do they eventually get onto the front and close the rest of the gap, or do they force myself and the TKM guy to do it and then they save their biscuits for later on? Well, to be honest, if I was Nostramo, I wouldn't be doing shit. I'd be sitting up and doing nothing and forcing myself and this TKM guy in the green jersey to close the gap. And that's what's happened here. Number 104, the TKM guys flick the elbow to close the gap. I've gone the long way around, still pushing 500 watts here, but the Nostramo guy wants to get into the mix, and he gets on the front now, and we're still pushing 300 to 400 watts with the group of riders still with about a good 7 seconds of space up the road here. Now, the pace is high. I'm looking at this 46 kilometers an hour. I'm okay with that for the moment. However, I don't want the pace to drop any further than that. So that's when we get to this part of the course, the fast part. I swing around, take the long way around again with no other option, get nice and aero and try to bridge across nice and quickly. 500 watts I've spiked up to, 48 kilometers an hour as I try to really close the gap as quick as I can. I've spoken about this before. The last thing I want to do is diesel across. So I do a big hard effort there to try to bridge across and flick them through and hope they do the rest of the job nice and quickly. But all this might have been for nothing, because you have a look in the rear cam, the remaining chasers have almost come across to us. And that's where I've looked behind here at the rest of my little breakaway companion, who've basically sprinted off the wheel here. I know that the rest of the peloton is right behind me, so I would imagine that there's not a huge urgency for me to close the gap finally, knowing full we've got a rampaging group behind, that I can kind of back the watts up, save the matches, knowing full well that the rest of the group's going to come across. But I probably didn't realize is how scattered everyone was. So I can just now slowly start to press the pedals, snap onto someone's wheel, anyone's wheel, and hopefully I'll get a nice ride coming back to the bunch. So you let me know in the comments, did I play that well, or did I fully royally stuff it up? Should I have just bridged across when they were only 7 seconds up the road? Hindsight's a beautiful thing. Probably should have, really, because I would have, I guess, been up the front straight away instead of now being third last wheel. But I saved some matches, and maybe that's something that I needed later on the race. But look, enough of that. The group is completely back together after those mad 2 to 3 laps of chasing. And when I look down at my heart rates under 160 beats, I think I've come out of that pretty well. I have dropped a fair few positions back, which is a bit of a concern, but we can always make those back. I think I've handled that well, knowing now that the group's back together, everything's fine and dandy. If, however, my breakaway companions did manage to get across, and if the peloton wasn't able to bridge across, then completely different story. But I'm pretty happy right here, right now. Let's get forward to another part of this race where maybe I'm not so happy with the situation. Let's head there now. For those regulars out there, a Fresh Crit's Hawthorn Crit has always involved an intense discussion about this bottom corner. Well, this doesn't change at all today, because coming into this race, and especially if you watch the last week's episode down at Easton, man, my cornering has fallen off a cliff. After almost crashing 2 times, I was a mess coming into this corner, so I had to swallow my pride and just give it a crack and hope to God that I remember how to corner well. And to be honest, I didn't do myself any favors flicking this guy through coming into the corner. That's probably the worst thing you could do, because it completely stuffs up your line. So I've flicked him through here, knowing full well that he's going to come across and take this inside line. And then I have the audacity to give him a spray because he chopped me hard. Now, I'm the one to blame there. I put myself in the bad position. I should have taken that corner through, protect my own front wheel. I can't get grumpy at anyone except myself there, but it doesn't stop me from still shouting abuse. But that's racing for you. I think I apologize here, but that's it. So there's just another moment of me racing at Hawthorn. I'm not good at it. I live on Struggle Street here at Hawthorn, but that's the way it's going to be unless I race here more often. And I tell you who's been racing here a lot, the boys that have just motored off the front here. Now, what's the point of this move? I think it's just to stay in the wheels. There's nothing too alarming about it. But as I said at the start of this video, what is my number one goal here? It is to race it smart. Well, maybe I didn't say it like that, but it's essentially to sit at the back and wait for that right moment where I need to burn a match and move myself up. Now, the problem with this idea, this strategy, is will I be able to find that right moment? Well, you're going to have to wait and see for that one. So let's skip forward in this race to where things start to heat up in the final stages of this race. And we're going to head there right after I've taken this corner. Let's see my line here. Shifted down a few gears. Hit the apex. And I think I gained on the wheels in front of me. Oh, I think I might almost have this corner dialed. And you'd bloody hope so, because I've calculated that I've been round there about 425 times. Now, that's not an exact science, but it's what Strava's spat out at me. How many times have you been round Hawthorn? Hit me up in the comments to let me know. No messing around here at Fresh Crit Central. With 3 laps to go, we're going to come straight to where the action is. Now, keeping in mind, there are still a couple of riders still up the front in that breakaway group that basically took off right at the start of the race. If you were those eagle-eyed viewers out there, you would have caught a glimpse of them up the road just before we entered this corner. Now, I've been able to keep my powder relatively dry this entire race. Haven't really hit the front unless I've needed to. The main strategy here is to make sure I'm ready and fresh to launch that attack when that attack finally goes. Now, I'm thinking it's going to be around the last lap. So that's what I'm kind of betting on. I don't need to move up too far forward. But will that idea come to bite me when there's 2 to go? We're going to have to wait and see. So I'm on JB's wheel here. I'm happy days with this. I'm probably sitting in around, 6 or so position. That's fine. 3 laps to go. We come around this corner to get 2 laps. And everything's fine and dandy here. Not too stressed at all. Heart rate nice and low. 152 beats. Come around that corner smoothly. Straight onto the pedal. Spiking up to 1,000 watts. Not too stressed here. JB decides to move on the inside to launch a bit of his attack. This is his move for the race. So off he goes. Momentarily, I think, oh, maybe I could get away with him, and then quickly realize he's pushing too much power. I sit right off, swing right, and force the rest of the boys to close the gap. I think that's a relatively smart move here. I'm able to then slot back into 4th wheel with the peloton being extremely strung out. Now, what I am not thinking about here is the counterattack, which is something that should be on the forefront of everyone's mind once there's been an initial attack, is wait for that counter. Because it's the best time to do it. It's the best time to get away. Now keep an eye on the rear cam because incoming is the missile. Logan Taplin launching an absolute screamer on the outside. Look how hard he hits the bunch. Absolutely sends it and instantly creates a gap and catches everybody sleeping. Now, one of the Nostramos boys is able to get across. Another one goes to get across here. So now we've got a bit of a danger happening. And now I'm coming into this corner 3 wide, having to take the widest line possible, dropping probably 3 bike lengths there and 2 wheels. So it's disaster. All the matches that I've been saving, riding it smart, trying to not be on the front, has now just been completely blown away. I'm now sitting probably 15th wheel here with 1 lap to go. It's near impossible for me to move up now just because I wasn't ready for that counter-attack. And that's why Hawthorn is such a hard race. All it takes is 1 move. Unlike Glenvale, unlike down at Sandown, which we'll discuss next week, you'll see that there you can move up throughout the race. It's quite easy because the laps here are so short. If you're caught napping, then unfortunately that's probably a race over. Now I'm just praying here that this rider can bridge me across. There has to be so much that needs to go right for me right now in order for me to even get near the podium, but I'm afraid I think it's all too far gone. The boys are almost ready to round that corner at the front of the race. I'm already fighting from behind. Logan Taplin's blown up there. He has not made the finish. But the guys that did sit in on the counter are still up the front right now. Marko has also been caught. So basically you're racing for 2nd and 3rd. You're still racing for a podium, but with just under 200 meters left in this race, the race is gone. I give it everything I can because, why the hell not? You may as well take up a few positions here and there. But that's pretty much the race done. That is Hawthorn locked and loaded. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that race. It was one of my favorite Hawthorn races I've done in recent times, purely because I thought I raced it a little bit smarter. Being able to sit in and chill out and relax, sit at the back and choose those moments to move up and move back, I definitely think is the right play to have, but I've got to keep heading out there more to know when those moves are going to come. And because one day it's in my destiny, I think, to get on the podium here at Hawthorn. I think if I do get on the podium, then I'm going to quit cycling. But talking about podiums, let's check out the results from what's occurred over this stage. So these are the results as it stands at the moment. It's all pretty neck and neck, but after this stage, there's been some movers and shakers. Let's check out how the ladder looks right now. And I think the biggest winner that we've seen is Jono Hoare stepping up into 3rd place. He actually won B grade and he collected a whole bunch of points. So here how it stands, Jen, Steve, and Jono making out the top 3, but the middle of the field is so close, only separated by a point, but with still 4 stages left with some of the hardest racing to come, especially at Southern Masters. Will they let us run cameras? Will I get a good Rico? We're going to have to stay tuned to find out. That's me signing out now. Stay rubber side down. Ciao.